Because you see, greatness in the kingdom of God, it begins with humility. Christ was the personification of what it means to be worthy of greatness. Though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privilege. He took a humble position of a slave and was born a human being. He humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on the cross. Therefore, God elevated him to the place of highest honor. He gave him the name above every other name. So, God knows that we're ambitious. Jesus knew that John was super ambitious. But what John needed to learn and what we need to learn is if we want to be great in the kingdom of God, then we've got to be worthy. And the only way to be worthy is to be a humble servant. That's where it has to start. God made us ambitious. But now God needs to redeem us, redeem that ambition so he can use it for his purposes. And that's what we're called. So we're all ambitious people. Most of us are pretty successful people. We've educated, and those are great things. We have ambitions. But is it selfish ambition? Or are we willing to give our ambition to God in humble service, in whatever form that takes? This move journey we're on, that's an opportunity to do that, but it's not the only opportunity. And that's really what this church, any church, is about, is this is the training ground. This is the training ground, just like John was trained to take his hot-headed ways and his ambitious ways and have them redeemed into service for God. This is where we come into God's house and with God's people, and this is where we learn. And this is where we allow God to start that redemption process here in this training ground. So all of our hot-headed ways and all of our ambitious ways can be tempered and be redeemed for God's service. It starts here, and then it's taken out there. This is where we learn. And that's the purpose of the church. And that's why we prepare for the next generation, so they can be trained and God can work his redemptive process in their lives so that their ambition isn't selfish ambition. It's ambition that drives them to humble service. So that these hot-headed type A ways like John had aren't just a guy with anger issues, but they're a strong leader that God can use to build his kingdom. That's what happens here. Together as God's humble servants.